Well, hello. Today's Airport 77, the third in the airport franchise. A rich philanthropist is flying guests from Washington, D.C. to a new museum he is opening in Florida. Only a group of thieves manage to sneak aboard and hijack the plane. They gas the passengers while in flight. The co-pilot, who is part of the group, takes the plane below radar to go to a deserted island and flee with the stolen art. The Navy and Coast Guard immediately begin the search for the plane when it disappears from radar. Only the plane hits an oil rig and crashes. It sinks to the bottom just as the passengers wake up. The plane is still pressurized but is leaking and will soon break up, and the passengers will drown. The surviving co-pilot confesses the plan and that they are 200 miles off course. To get rescued, the pilot and a passenger volunteer to use jury-rigged oxygen tanks to make it to the surface with a beacon. The pilot manages to make it, and a Navy search plane finds them. A rescue mission is launched to bring up the plane so the passengers can escape. So, one thing I remember as a child you can always count on was every 2 years in the 70s they would churn out an airport movie. And so this is like the third in the series. Once again, it was kind of a big success. It had a budget of $6 million but made $91 million, so it's a very huge profit margin. That's why they kept churning them out every 2 years. And it was actually nominated for 2 Technical Academy Awards. Didn't win any. And like most of these movies, they're, big epic scope with whole ensemble cast, some big budget, well-known actors like Jack Lemmon, Jimmy Stewart, Christopher Lee, Brenda Vaccaro, Lee Grant. I also had some other fun ones from the 70s that I remember from TV, like Darren McGavin, old Kolchak. Monty Markham, who always seemed to be popping up in TV movies and shows, and Gil Gerard, who was Buck Rogers in that fun series. And it also brought back George Kennedy, who played Joe Petroni, just as he did in the other 2 movies, and would go on and play the same character in the 4th movie. Only in this one, he was, very limited use. He was just kind of there like as a liaison for the corporation in the search. They had very little screen time, but he's like the one consistent character used in all these airport movies. And of course, it was just a fun movie. It was advertised as the plane went down in the Bermuda Triangle, and they even mentioned it in the movie that the Bermuda Triangle, because during the 70s that was such a very ominous thing, the Bermuda Triangle. There was always ships and planes disappearing because of the UFOs or the interdimensional portals or Atlantis, or the UFOs coming through the interdimensional portals from Atlantis. That was the 70s. So, the plane, of course, sinks down. This one have it sink down to the bottom, after getting hijacked. It has, various, emotional drama too. There's, the Jack Lemmon, Brenda Vaccaro love interest there, and if they should get married, and there's like a daughter and a grandson that are estranged from the Jimmy Stewart character, who's the rich patron flying them down, and You know, Christopher Lee's wife, Lee Grant, is having an affair with his younger assistant, and marriage probably, you know, it's just all that little stuff there to fill in the movie. And at the end, you know, they have a little saying, you know, that this is fictional, of course, but the Navy has this plan in real life to rescue planes and that. Of course, in real life, experts say that, you know, the way the plane crashed, it probably would just break up and everyone would drown. But, you know, this is a entertainment movie. So, and, you know, also, interesting thing I just found while looking through this movie is that the Universal had an attraction back in the late 70s about this, you know, like the airport screen test where they would get some, you know, get some volunteers to participate in this, and on stage, and they would have, like, you know, the hijacking, the crash, and the rescue. And I think I do remember it as a kid. Now it just kind of popped. Oh, I remember seeing that, because, you know, we went with my family there to California back in like '79 or that, and I remember this now at Universal. There was, like, on stage, you know, people in this airplane set getting rocked around and that, and it's kind of interesting. So, you know, this is a fun movie. Like all the airport movies, it's just, you know, fun movie. Don't really care if it's really accurate or that, but, you know, it's enjoyable. So, you know, I would recommend this like all the other airport movies. And if you stuck with me this long, I thank you. You're a unique individual.